Hi friends, it's April from Banana Moon Studio, and I am working today on a spinning project. So I thought I would share with you what I'm doing. So let's take a look at the roving that I'm working with today. Today I'm working with this really beautiful roving that I got from my Fiber of the Month Club box from Paradise Fibers. And you can see that it has a combination of light green, dark green, black, and white in it. It's really soft. It's a mixture of, let me double check, a mixture of merino wool and mulberry silk. So what I have decided to do with this roving is I'm going to tear off short sections. I'm going to spread my hands out. Okay, short sections like this. And I'm just roughly separating them into light and dark piles. So I have a pile here that is lighter greens, and then a pile that is darker green and black. I mean, I've gotten a little bit of white in there, but you can compare them together and see that this side is lighter than this side. So it's just a rough separation. It's not, you know, like you have to be just super careful about getting all the light and dark into different piles. But what I want to have accomplished by the end of this is that my light and dark piles are going to be roughly the same weight, so that when I spin it, hopefully my two singles will be roughly the same length. So I'm just pulling out some of the lighter pieces that I see in here and leaving behind the darker. There's a little bit more white and bright green here. Alright, so at this point I feel like what I have left, a little bit of white there I'll pull out. What I have left in this pile is mostly dark. So that's going to go in my dark pile. And I actually want to lay these piles out flat, not have them bunched up in a heap. There we go. So I'll tip this forward. You can kind of see I've got both of my piles laid out flat there. Alright, so I'm just going to keep tearing this off in sections that aren't very long, because when I'm done, what I want to do is spin from the fold. Ooh, I got a lot of dark stuff in there I didn't see on the other side. Sometimes you start pulling out something light thinking it's all light, and then you look at the other side of what you just tore off and realize it's not as light as you thought. But as I said, it's just a rough separation. It's not going to be a big deal if I have a little bit of white or bright green over in the dark pile, or a little bit of dark green in the light pile. But what I definitely want to accomplish is that when I look at the pile as a whole, one of my piles looks lighter than the other. So they definitely look different at this point. As I'll hold this up so you can see them better. Definitely this pile looks dark and this pile looks light and bright. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on that, and then we'll come back to the video when I've finished separating all of my fiber into light and dark. And also I have a little bit, just a small amount of this, which is left over from a Fiber of the Month Club box that we got last summer. And I honestly don't remember exactly what this fiber was called, but I'm going to look it up. And I will actually have links in the description box for this one and for the one that I'm separating here into these two piles. The green one that I'm mainly working with, that I'm separating, that one is just from the Fiber of the Month Club box for this month, which is November 2018. And the whole box was Harry Potter themed. And so they came up with house names that are similar to the Harry Potter houses, but not exactly the same. So this one is called the Slatherson house. And you'll be able to find this on their website. But I will have links for both of these fibers in the description box. And we'll get back together here in a few minutes when I finish separating, and we'll weigh them and see if my piles are about the same. So I finished separating my fiber into light and dark. So you can see here, this is my lighter pile and my darker one. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exact, but you can see that there's a noticeable difference in the colors there. And I also added in the other fiber that I had, and I put pretty much all of that in the light pile because it was a much lighter color. So now what I want to do is I'm going to spin the light pile onto one bobbin and the dark onto another, and I want to, if at all possible, I want to make sure that the two singles that I'm making are going to be at least close to the same length. Otherwise, I'm going to have a whole bunch left on one bobbin or the other, and I don't really want to waste it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scale to weigh both piles and see if they're the same weight. And if they're not, I'm going to try to adjust a little bit and move some from one pile to the other, so that if my two piles are roughly the same weight, then hopefully they'll be pretty close to the same length. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to weigh them. So hopefully get my scale here where you can see it. And I want to kind of fold this up so that it's in a little bundle that's going to be easier to weigh. And I have the unit set on grams. So this one is about 63 grams. And this one is 51 grams. So I'm actually going to have to add more to my light colored pile in order to get them to be about the same length, or same weight, and hopefully the same length at the end. So I'm going to lay my two piles back out, and I'm going to pick out some of the lighter bits and add them to my lighter colored pile over here. And you know, it's not going to be perfect. That's okay, it doesn't have to be. I just basically want for one of my singles to look lighter than the other one, and it will if it's at least approximately, you know, if most of the fiber is lighter colored. So I'm still going to keep some of the darker bits out of this one and move some of the lighter pieces over to my other pile. Alright, so I'm going to keep working on that, and then I'm going to weigh my stacks again, and I'm just going to keep adjusting until I get my two piles to be about the same weight. And then at that point, I'll be ready to spin them. So we'll restart the video when it's time to start spinning. Alright, so I got both of my stacks equal to 58 grams, and now we're ready to spin. Okay, so I've got my lighter bundle of fiber here, and it's so pretty. Anyhow, I am going to take pieces of this out one at a time, and I'm going to spin them from the fold. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when you spin from the fold, you take a shorter section of fiber and you actually fold it over your index finger, and then you're going to start spinning from this fiber right here that's on the end of your finger. You're actually going to pull it off the end of your finger this way and catch this in your leader and spin off that way. And when you spin from the fold with your colorful roving or top like this, it allows your colors to be taken up and spun into the yarn more separated. Where if you spin from the end of this, all of the different colors in here are going to get pulled in together and just get mixed in your single, where when you spin from the fold, it tends to separate your colors a little bit more so that your yarn winds up having separate patches of color instead of all of the colors just mixed together. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to catch just a little bit of the fiber in my leader and then start spinning. And I'm going to be drafting off my finger like this. And you hopefully, well, I don't know that you can see it that well from there, but it's just taking off the colors in a way that they aren't quite so mixed together. So that way you preserve the different colors of the top or the roving that you're working with. So I'll be doing this with the lighter batch of roving, and then I'll switch bobbins and do the same with the darker pile of roving that I have. And then when I'm finished, I'll be applying those together into one yarn. And I'll be excited to show you the result when I'm all done. Here is a close-up of my hand as I'm spinning from the fold. You can see the yarn coming off over my fingertip. These are my finished shingles. You can see the darker fiber on the bobbin on the left, and the lighter fiber is on the bobbin on the right. I'm really pleased with how these have turned out. Now it's time to ply. This is my finished yarn. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. It's really soft. It's really beautiful with lots of different shades of green in it. Now that I've finished my yarn, if you have enjoyed this video, please go like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check in the description box for links to where you can get this fiber for yourself. See you later.